BookTube, it's Kelly. Thank you so much for watching Books I'm Not Reading. I'm here today to do my second quarter of the year wrap-up and just tell you a little bit more about some of the books that I haven't talked a lot about on my channel. But first, here is the books that I feel like I have talked about a lot, or in the case of Shakespeare, do get talked about a lot. So if you want to know more about any of these, definitely look through my second quarter videos, and you will find more there. I don't want to rehash them again. Oh, put all them over there. I also read July by Tim O'Brien. This is part of my TBR for Curious Adventure, which is a year-long nonfiction event hosted by Curious Reader. And I'm not going to talk about this book today because this is actually one novel that's supposed to be paired with a nonfiction book, and I have not read the nonfiction book yet. So when I do, we will come back to this and talk about July, but it was excellent. I did really enjoy it. I also feel like there were some Friday Reads videos where I was continuously talking about Maggie-Now. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, although I still haven't read anything by Betty Smith that is as good as A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. But Maggie-Now is definitely worth keeping and worth returning to in the future. I own 2 copies of it, so I would guess I'll just be holding on to those 2 copies. But yeah, this was delightful. It just took a little bit of a strange turn kind of at the end. But otherwise, I really enjoyed reading this book, so yeah. Okay, so these next 3 books, I just want to throw out there to all of you that, this year I'm really focused on trying to read books that I already own. So Jason and I are only using the library for very limited things. The rest of the books have to come from our own personal home library, which, you guys, is huge. So if there is any one of these 3 books that you would like, please let me know. I will do my utmost to get it to you as soon as I can. I am not going to the post office, among many other places at the moment, but I would love to be able to send out a bunch of books at the end of the year. So the first one is a middle grade book. It's called Pax by Sara Pennypacker. It's got some cute illustrations in it. I love the fox. And that's the name of the fox, is Pax. And this is a story of a boy and, his pet fox. And the boy's father makes him, essentially, they drive out into the wilderness and dump the fox off. And then later the boy changes his mind and decides, he has to go and find his fox. And the fox is desperate to find the boy. So I did enjoy this book, and again, it's cute, the cute illustrations. There's quite a bit of discussion of war and violence in here, which I was surprised by. I think my biggest problem with the book was just geography of understanding where the boy was in relationship to where the fox was, but it was still fun. However, I don't think I'll probably be reading it again in the future, so there's that. The second one is Miss Hargreaves by Frank Baker. Now, I own 3 of these Bloomsbury Group books, and I plan on reading all 3 of them this year. This is the second one, so I only have 1 more to go. Miss Hargreaves, I was actually really excited to read because it sounded like a slightly older Mary Poppins. And I'm thinking of Mary Poppins the movie, not necessarily the book. So remember at the beginning of the film, the 2 little kids write this letter about the governess that they want, and the dad shreds it up and puts it in the I don't know, it goes up the chimney somehow or whatever, and then Mary Poppins appears, kind of thing. So Norman is the main character in this book, and he and his friend are on a trip, and through a variety of circumstances end up kind of inventing this woman, Miss Hargreaves. And Norman gets a little bit elaborate and a little bit carried away with her quirks and her eccentricities. She's quite a bit older than he is. I think Norman is late teens, early 20s, and Miss Hargreaves is in her 80s. And then I'm not really sure why, but he and his friend, they decide to write Miss Hargreaves a letter. And of course, Norman's like, I hope you'll come and visit me and my family. And the next thing you know, she shows up. And with all of her eccentricities, and there's a reason there's a harp on the cover. She's also supposed to be rumored to travel with her own bath. Anyway, so Norman is really struggling with how to deal with her, because she does kind of turn his life upside down. Nobody can understand why Norman has never told them about Miss Hargreaves, and there are situations like when someone asks Norman in front of Miss Hargreaves how they met, and he doesn't, kind of pauses, and she doesn't know what to say, because in some sense, since he created her, like, she doesn't have that memory until he tells the story, and then she does. Anyway, somewhere along the way, the second half of the book, things get like twisted around, and it becomes much darker, and I don't want to say penalty, but there is some suffering on his part for creating her. Anyway, so I liked this book. I didn't love it. It is very unusual, though. It's not like anything else I've ever read. So, again, if this is something that you would like to try, it is a little bit dinged up at the cover there. Sorry about that. Probably because I got it at a book sale. Yeah, so let me know if that is something that you would like. And finally, we get to the big confusion of 2020 so far when it comes to books. This is Broken, a Love Story by Lisa Jones. And Jason and I talked at length about what bookstore we thought we bought this in. I'd actually reached out to somebody at the bookstore, and this book is shelved in Animals with the other horse books. Okay, it's got a blurb on the back by Susan Richards, who wrote Chosen by a Horse, which I absolutely love. And I really thought, tell me if I'm crazy, like, I thought this book was going to be about horses. It is not. That doesn't make it a bad book. It just means it wasn't what I expected. I did read it all because this is also part of my Curious Adventure TBR. I think the prompt was something along the lines of read a book that grabs your attention. And it is a beautiful cover, you have to admit. It's gorgeous. But I also noticed on the cover there is a blurb from Alexandra Fuller, who wrote Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, which I read at the end of last year and didn't really like. So maybe that should have been a clue. The tiny subtitle, and you can't see it very well, it says horses. Horses is the first word, okay? Horses, Humans, and Redemption on the Wind River Indian Reservation. Okay, so I really feel like I'm not crazy when I thought that this book was going to be about horses, and it's not. It is about Lisa Jones going to the Wind River Indian Reservation, which is not very far from where I live. There are two tribes, that live on the Wind River Indian Reservation, the Northern Arapaho and the Eastern Shoshone tribe. They historically don't get along, so it's great that our government put them on the same piece of land. And it is a large, I think she says in here, the Wind River Indian Reservation is 151 times the size of Manhattan. And maybe half the size of Connecticut, something along those lines. So it's a large piece of land, but there are a lot of problems on the reservation. Lisa Jones meets and becomes sort of fascinated by this man named Stanford Addison, a Northern Arapaho, and he's the one who does this thing that's like horse gentling. Instead of breaking horses, he believes in gentling them, and he offers these clinics. But really, what he's known for is the sweat lodges that are at his place, and I think happen twice a week, and people from all over come to experience that and to try to find healing. In the meantime, we also learn a lot about Lisa Jones and her relationship with her partner, who won't marry her because he says someday he might want to be a Buddhist monk. So that was all very strange and kind of, again, distracted from what I thought this book was going to be about. Lisa Jones spends a tremendous amount of time with Stanford Addison and travels with him, and gosh, just really gets to know him well, and wrote this book. And I'm not saying that Stanford Addison didn't deserve to have a book written about him, but yeah, it was I was 100 pages in, and I'm going, no, actually, this book is not about horses. I will say the book did move me to tears at one point because of the suffering of the people who live on the reservation, and the suffering that is happening on the reservation right now, because in Wyoming, that is the county that is right by the Wind River Indian Reservation, is the county with the most cases of the coronavirus in our state. So there's still a lot of suffering. Some of the elders are dying. It's very, very tragic for the Native American community, and a loss for all of us as well. So anyway, so this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But again, I'm here to say, if you'd like it, let me know, because otherwise I will donate it to the library or a free library. I will find a home for it somewhere. But yeah, so those are the books that I have been reading this quarter, and I will be back tomorrow with my Jane Austen July TBR. I am so excited to talk to you about those books. I'm also spending the next week taking some time for myself and my body to kind of heal and just get away from work. I love being at home. I love being in our backyard. And so hope to spend a lot of time reading and making videos in the week ahead. Book 2, please remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching.